we hear the word innovation, we usually think of something revolutionary. Silicon Valley, self-driving cars, robots doing our work. It's shiny, it's fast, it's futuristic. It's usually something big. But what if innovation isn't always something new, loud, or flashy? What if it's quiet, found in the tension between what we inherit and what we imagine? Not the kind that happens in labs or boardrooms, but the kind that happens when you're stuck in between who you are and who the world expects you to be, between the past that shaped you and the future you're still trying to figure out. That's where I found myself, not standing on one side or the other, but right in the middle, between identity and innovation, between the stories we inherit and the tools we create, between tradition and technology. I am Igbo, but I don't speak Igbo. I live in Lagos, the city of loud horns, louder people, and dreams that never sleep. My hometown, I've been there once, maybe twice. If you gave me a map and said, find it, I'd be zooming, tapping, dragging. Because my roots, they feel like a blurry location pin. So what does that make me? Am I Igbo enough if the only Igbo word I can confidently say is my name? Am I Nigerian enough if I relate more to memes and song lyrics than moonlight tales and my grandmother's proverbs? These are the very questions we carry. Not just about identity, but about belonging in a world that's moving faster than tradition can catch up. Because we're not just living in one world, we're standing right in the middle of two. And no one gave us a manual. Balancing both, it's like tending to two fires. One electric, one wood. The electric one beeps if you forget it. The other disappears and goes quiet if you don't feed it. Most times, it's the quiet one that gets lost. Now, it's not easy, and oftentimes our roots feel blurry. Like when I was at a family gathering and grandma started to pray, long, beautiful prayers in Igbo. And all I could do was murmur amen, not because I understood, but because I knew I was supposed to. Or when my uncles tell stories in our mother's tongue, and everyone bursts out laughing. And I laugh too, not because I get the joke, but because silence would have made my distance too loud. Or when I heard my name, my full name, pronounced with all its weight and tone and history, and it sounded almost unfamiliar, because for most of my life, I'd only ever heard the watered-down Englishized version in school. In times like this, that's when you feel it. The gap. The divide between where you come from and where you actually are. Because we're not just asking, who am I? In our generation, we're asking, who am I supposed to be in a world that's moving so fast? Because we're standing at crossroads. One foot in culture, one foot in code. Our lives are a constant remix. While the generation caught between our family stories and the stories we upload, between dusty photo albums and cloud storage, between making family recipes or just copying TikTok chefs, between learning our native languages or just using Google Translate. And at these crossroads, we're made to believe we have to choose. I remember traveling last year and having to attend summer school. It was the first day and I was sitting in class trying to give up that mysterious but definitely smart vibe. Then the teacher came in and the dreaded roll call began. She breezed through names like John, Ashley, Zainab. Then she stopped. You know that kind of silence when you can literally hear the confusion loading? She squints at the list like it's written in some kind of Asian code. Tries to sound it out, fails. Tries again, fails even louder. Then goes, "Is that you?" while looking directly at me. I just smiled, nodded and said, "Just call me Amanda." Now, I didn't correct her, not out of fear, but out of habit. Over time, I'd learned to answer to a name that felt smaller, neater, more acceptable. To make myself easier to digest, I carved out parts of my name, my language, myself, just to keep things moving. Because we're made to believe we have to choose. Your grandmother's stories or the glow of a screen. Clay in your hand or code at your fingertips. Honor the past or build the future. Like identity is some multiple choice question and you can only tick one box. Tradition says this is who you are. Technology says you can be anything. And right now, we're standing at the edge of both, trying to make sense of it all. But what if the real power isn't in choosing one or the other, but in creating something new at the intersection? Because innovation isn't always a sleek glass building in Silicon Valley. Sometimes it's a 17-year-old in Enugu coding an app that teaches Igbo proverbs because he was tired of only hearing them when he was in trouble. Or the girl in Lagos who FaceTimed her grandma to learn old family recipes, then turns it into a viral YouTube series that spreads her culture. It's the designer who grew up wearing Ankara only on Sundays, but now wears sneakers that blend streetwear with his grandfather's patterns. It's the teenager teaching his classmates Yoruba slangs through memes. Because what's in concern us with Shakespeare? It's tradition and technology sharing a seat, not fighting for one. We're not diluting culture, we're digitizing it. We're not choosing between the old and the new, we're blending them, bending them, and building something entirely ours. I look at my generation and I do not see people lost at crossroads. I see people building something new right there in the middle. We're not stuck. We're rooted and reaching. We're downloading Duolingo but for our own mother tongue. We're trying to learn our native languages, even if it means we have to use Google Translate. We're not a glitch in the system. We are the upgrade. Because tradition and technology were never meant to agree. One holds memory, the other holds momentum. One says, this is how you've always done it. The other says, there has to be another way. One calls you back home, and the other pushes you into the unknown. Yet when they meet, not politely, but head on, that's where something powerful happens. That's the crossroads. That tension, that stretch, that's not a weakness. That's the birthplace of something new. And if you ever feel caught in the middle, I hope you realize that's not the end, that's the starting point. I used to think I had to choose, but the real shift came when I realized that innovation isn't leaving one behind. It's learning to hold both with meaning. So yes, I am Igbo. But my fluency is not in words. It's in my intention. I may not speak my language yet, but I am learning to carry it. And no, I will not choose between tradition and technology. I'll submit a group project with slides full of AI-generated graphics. But this time, I won't hide behind an abbreviation or nickname. I'll write my full syllable-rich, vowel-heavy name right there in bold on the first slide. The one thick with tradition stretching wide like my ancestors' stories. The same name that caused the minutes of silence during roll call. Because innovation isn't just building the future. It's bringing all of who you are into it. Because what's the point of progress if it erases your identity? That stretch, that tension between ancestral wisdom and digital curiosity, between who you've been told to be and who you are becoming, that is innovation. Not in choosing one path, but in creating a new one. Because the real story isn't about getting it perfectly right. It's about what happens when we stop standing at crossroads and start building something entirely new from it. Something that doesn't erase your roots, but lets them bloom. Something your ancestors might side-eye, but low-key flex about. Dalu.